Hi guys, Julia here from JM Squared Vintage. Welcome back to the channel. I am here today with the Ship With Me. These are all orders that came through over the weekend. I'm actually filming this on the day after President's Day, and for the first time in the history of me reselling full-time, I actually remembered that the post office was closed on a non-major holiday. I mean, I always remember when it's closed for like Thanksgiving and stuff, but the amount of times that I have shown up to the door of the post office on a Monday with an armful of packages to go out and found a locked door is pretty embarrassing. Anyway, an interesting weekend of sales. A couple bigger sales, but a couple things that kind of hung around for far too long. I feel like I cleared out some older inventory here today. Also a few things that sold lightning quick. So we've got a lot to talk about here. But before we get started here, guys, if this is your first time here, if this is your first time stumbling on my channel, first and foremost, welcome. I am Julia, that is my name. We talk all things thrifting and vintage and the business of reselling on the internet here. If that sounds like something that you might be into, consider hitting subscribe down below. I would love to have you along on this journey. But with all that being said, guys, we've got a lot of stuff to get through. It's getting a little late in the afternoon, so I want to get these things packed up, off to the post office. So why don't you go grab yourself a snack, grab yourself a drink, sit back, relax, and let's get into the shipment. So the first piece we have here is something that I will never ever leave behind. This is a little silk floral chemise. This is from August Silk, so not necessarily a notable brand or anything, but anytime I see something that is silk in chemise form, I am going to grab that piece. These are just kind of reliable sellers. They're things that don't necessarily bring a ton of money, but as long as it's actual silk and not like polyester, satin, whatever, they're still absolutely positively worth the pickup. And especially if you are at a place where you can source by the pound, you should be keeping your eyes out for pieces like this because it weighs next to nothing. And if you're able to get something like this for like 50 cents, 75 cents, who cares what you sell it for, you know? Now this one took a little bit longer than usual to sell. I think probably because of two things. Number one, it was a smaller size, and number two, it was a floral pattern. Typically the silk little chemises that are solid or with a lace trim will sell almost immediately. Most of them sell within a day or two. But this one, I mean, it didn't take a long time to sell, but it did take longer than usual on silk chemises. But either way, I had this one listed for about 4 months. Like I said, not crazy long, but longer than usual. And I had it listed at $28, and I got an offer for $23.80, which I did accept with a $2 cost at the bins. This brought me to a profit of $16.54. And this was a sale over on eBay. And I'll tell you, a lot of these kinds of pieces for me do tend to sell over on eBay. So just an interesting little data point there. All right, adjusted the camera a little bit there. Is that better? Next up, these are the kind of things that I will never not pick up. And honestly, I picked this up right after the 4th of July, and I kind of anticipated this not selling until next, like Memorial Day. But this little vintage sweater, cute little navy blue and white stripes with some gold lurex whip stitch detail. I love it so much. I'm such a sucker for one of these like whimsical vintage sweaters. They sell so well for me. Usually faster than I anticipate them selling. And this is no exception. It did sell faster than anticipated because I thought that this was not going to sell until we were in the summertime of, this year. But this is just your PSA to when you see those like whimsical vintage sweaters with like a Halloween motif, like don't not pick those up because you're not close to Halloween. Like I've sold an embroidered denim Halloween themed shirt like 2 weeks after Halloween. You know what I'm saying? Like these things sell all year long. And mostly because they're like, at this point, one of a kind. You can't go out to a store and buy one. So anytime I see them, I pick them up. And these are exactly the kind of things that you will find everywhere in the country. Like these aren't necessarily high-end pieces. These are pieces that come from, your local Kohl's, your Boscov's, whatever, just 25 years ago. So guaranteed you will find this kind of stuff everywhere. But either way, I had this listed for about 4 months, and I had it listed for $34. And typically on these kind of things, I'll get anywhere between like $20 and $30, reliably pretty dang quick, usually within a month, depending on subject matter. But I got an offer for $27, which I gladly accepted. And with a $2 cost at the bins, this brought me to a profit of $23.24. And this was a sale over on Depop. So I hope she loves it. It is so, so cute, so very nautical, and a perfect little patriotic sweater. All right, next up, this is a sweater from a brand called Soya. Now this is an older style, but it is absolutely a label I want you to be keeping your eyes out because it is extremely high end. That is the label there. And this is just a little sage green, intentionally distressed sweater. And I thought that this was so cool. Like, look at how that distressing is done. It's almost like a knit lace. So this sweater is actually technically a sweater dress. And it is a size extra small. So that contributed, I think, a little bit to how long it took to move. And I mean, it didn't take too terribly long, but longer than I would expect something from this brand. I've had other pieces that have sold for like twice the price in 2 days. But even with the things that were kind of stacked against this, I of course am gonna grab it because anytime you see that label, you should pick it up. As with most things, anything that's like a higher price point that's gonna resell with a higher price point, with the exception of things that are like sold out, that are kind of going viral, you generally anticipate them taking a little bit longer to sell just because there's fewer people in the buying pool that can afford, you know, a higher price point, especially on a secondhand piece. Though I do think that this retailed like $300 or $400. Soya is so expensive. But either way, I had this listed for about 6 months and I had it listed at $80. And I do think that I brought the price down at some point in that 6 months. I'm almost positive that I did. But I got an offer for $50, which I did accept. And with a $2 cost at the bins, this brought me to a profit of $38 even. And this was a sale over on Poshmark. So I hope she loves it. These are the kind of things that I am like usually willing to wait to find the right buyer for the item, right? So I hope she loves it. Next up, this is another one that I've had for a little bit of time. This is a cute little just casual dress from Saturday Sunday, which is an Anthropology brand, or at least was sold at Anthropology. And it's this nice like nubby cotton modal. So it's got a nice drape to it. It's a nice slub. It feels like linen. But just one of those really easy throw on and go one-piece wonder house dresses, as I like to refer to them, although easily worn outside of the house. But the kind of thing that I wear all summer around the house just because it is super comfy. But this is one that took me by surprise. Saturday, Sunday usually sells fairly quickly for me, even though I'm not sure if they're still being sold at Anthro these days. But I've had a lot of experience with their pieces selling quite well. But either way, I've had this one for a little bit of time and I was happy to be moving it on. These are the kind of things from Anthropology that like I'm a player on at the bins only. Like I never would have paid up for this in a thrift store, but at the bins at a couple bucks, 100% I'm gonna grab this. I know that something like this is gonna sell probably somewhere in that kind of bread and butter, maybe the higher end bread and butter territory, which is great. But either way, I had this listed for about 6 months and I had it listed at $32 and I got an offer for $28, which I did accept. And with a $2 cost, this brought me to a profit of $20.40. And this was a sale over on Poshmark. So I hope she loves it. Perfect little breezy, easy wearing dress. And it is just so cute. Next up, this is a little bit of a bolo here. So I picked up 2 of these Uniqlo knit blazers. This is like stretchy, and I think that they're called the comfort blazers. Now I picked up one that was a size extra large and new with tags. That sold in I think 2 days. This one was a size small, not new with tags, but in, you know, overall great condition. And it also sold quite quickly. Now, if this is the kind of thing that your thrift store is charging like $13.99 for, I know like this can easily get lumped into like jackets. That's a no. But if you're seeing these at the bins, if you're seeing these for a couple bucks, these are a very safe bet. Uniqlo, of course, I talk about Uniqlo all the time. In my opinion, one of the best bangs for your buck that you can get in terms of shopping new. Their quality outpaces their pricing by like a long shot. Most other things in that price point are real trash. You know what I'm saying? I want to say that these retailed like 70 bucks, maybe like $69, $70. I mean, go to Amazon and buy any kind of blazer and it's going to be like $70 and it's going to be awful. So keep your eyes out for them. Make sure you're using the term comfort blazer. I think people actually really seek that out. And as I said, when I found these, my God, where were they when I had to wear horrible suits for work? Somebody posted a picture not too long ago of a trade show that I went to in my like early 20s. And I was wearing this like brown suit, which was, you know, the style at the time. And I just looked like a little girl dressing up in my mom's clothes. You know what I'm saying? Like everything was just very ill-fitted and very polyester, at least what I could afford. Either way, This I had listed for just 10 days. Like I said, the other one I had listed for 2 days. I had it listed at $35 and I sent an offer for $31, which was accepted. So with a $2 cost at the bins, this brought me to a profit of $22.80. And this was a sale over on Poshmark. I think that these are absolute guaranteed quick sales in that decent, like high bread and butter territory. So for that purpose, I would call those like a baby bolo. Are you gonna be getting $75 for them? You will not. Are you gonna be getting a quick 25, 30 bucks for them? Yes, you will. All right, next up, this is a pair of jeans I've had for a while. Now this is a great brand, but these were a very small size. So I've had them for a while and I was kind of keen to move them on, but this is from Redone. And I would absolutely keep your eyes out for these jeans. I wanna say that they retail like $300. This is like the vintage stovepipe. I think that's the actual name of these jeans, but they were a size 25. So a very, very small size. And I had very little interest in them. Number one, this is not like standard jeans. You know, it's not like a blue jean. So already that's a little bit limiting, and then add in that small size and they weren't moving. And they were definitely, the last time I went through and relisted them, they were definitely kind of on the chopping block. So I dropped the price a little bit and was kind of like, if they don't sell in the next go around, I'm just gonna donate them back. But either way, I had them listed at $50. I had them listed for about a year, and I got an offer for $26, which I did accept. I was ready to move these along. Now, if these were, you know, a different scenario under the same brand, I probably would have seen somewhere between like $50 and $100 on the jeans. I've sold other Redone jeans for much higher than this, but again, these were getting ready to go to the chopping block, so this is best case scenario for me. But either way, with a $1 cost at the bins, this brought me to a profit of $19.80, and this was a sale over on Poshmark. I hope she absolutely loves them. I'm so happy to be getting them back into another closet versus going back to the thrift store. Like nothing could possibly make me happier when there is something that I was ready to kind of donate back. Next up, now this is one that I knew was gonna fly out of my closet. This is from Killstar, which is like an alternative clothing brand in the same vein as Dolls Kill. They may or may not be sold on Dolls Kill, but either way, it's definitely an alternative clothing company. And these kind of things always have very dedicated buyer pools and very limited supply, right? Like there's just not too many brands out there that make this kind of alternative clothing. So anytime I find something like this, I'm gonna grab it. Now, this is not the kind of thing that I would be picking up, paying, you know, kind of big dollars for at the thrift store. They don't tend to retail for all that much. This probably retailed for like $65. I mean, it's not cheap, but it's not, you know, $300, $400. And you're gonna get somewhere in that like $30 mark for them. But at the bins, absolutely, positively, you should keep your eyes out for them. And again, because these are primarily online businesses, these are the kind of things that you will find all over the country. And this, as soon as I listed it, I started getting interest in it. I mean, I only had it listed for 3 days, and I think over on Depop, there were already like 35 likes, and a couple of offers had, you know, kind of come through. Nothing had sold, but I had a couple offers and, like I said, 30 some odd likes on it, which is a lot, you know, in just a couple days. I was confident when I bought it that this was going to be something that was going to sell quick, especially because it was new with tags. But if I wasn't confident before I listed it, the second I listed it and started to see interest on it, I was confident it would move really, really quickly. So a brand to be on the lookout for sure. But either way, again, had it listed for just 3 days, had a bunch of offers over on Depop, and then lo and behold, popped through as a full price sale at $38 over on Poshmark. And with a $2 cost at the bins, this brought me to a profit of $28.40. And again, sale over on Poshmark. So go figure, after all of that interest over on Depop. But either way, happy to be getting this back out to a closet. I hope she absolutely loves it. Next up, this is an interesting one. This was kind of a test that I made. This is a sweatshirt jacket from a brand called Bulwark. And one of you guys had said that Bulwark is selling faster for you than Carhartt. Now, I picked this up mostly because of the style, but It's got a lot of wear to it. You can kind of see like all along the edge here, there's some fraying, there's some like paint splatters. And this is an FR, like a flame retardant jacket. And anytime you see FR, it's something to pay attention to. There's a lot of people that like for their jobs are required to wear something with an FR component to it. But when you're selling something like this has obviously been worn for probably years, you just want to make sure that you're putting a disclaimer that like, you shouldn't be using this for PPE purposes, right? But one of you guys had actually said something on one of my videos not too long ago. I don't think I was talking about this. I think we were talking about a Carhartt, but you were saying that you had used the word thrashed in your listing. And I used the word thrashed because this is thrashed, right? Like this is a look that kids are looking for. Like guaranteed, this is not going to somebody to be used on the job site. This is gonna be going to somebody who wants this look, this really worn in look, without the several years of hardware that it requires to get there. Now, maybe on Carhartt, you'll get kind of big dollars for it, but when I was looking it up, it looks like most of the Bulwark stuff in thrashed condition was going between like 15 and like 30 bucks at the high end, which to be clear is fair, you know, but I used that word and again, immediately had interest in it. So make sure if you have something or if you're out shopping and you find a Carhartt jacket that has a lot of wear to it, like don't leave it behind because it's got a lot of wear to it, especially Carhartt, because people will pay up for that. But use the term thrashed. And I think that also kind of sets an expectation for the buyer. Like they're not gonna be flipping out when they get there and notice that like the cuffs have frayed, you know, like they know what they're getting when they buy something that's thrashed. And personally, that makes me happy because these kind of pieces are made to take abuse, right? Like despite the fact that there's a lot of fray on that and a lot of wear to it, and despite the fact that it's probably not gonna be used for its initial intention of being like flame resistant, this still has a whole second life as a worn garment. In fact, it's funny. We always laugh. My dad has this sweatshirt, like his beating around the house sweatshirt. This sweatshirt is ancient. It has been used for yard chores probably since I was a kid. And when I say that his cuff is hanging on by a thread, I mean quite literally. I'm gonna see if I have a picture of it. If I do, I'll put it here. And we always made the joke that like Balenciaga could sell it, you know? So Demna and Balenciaga are the folks to thank for this like thrashed aesthetic. But either way, what do you think? Can I get $400 for this sweatshirt? I had this listed at 30 bucks and I got an offer for $22 after just 2 days and I happily accepted it. With a $2 cost at the bins, this brought me to a profit of $15.60. And this was a sale over on Poshmark. And honestly, I hope they love it. Like I said, this just like tickles me. This is obviously not something I'm gonna pay $16.99 for in the thrift store, but $2 if I find something like that and I can flip it really quick and get a nice quality piece like that and get it another year or two of life, like absolutely, I'm on board. Next up, this is a little sun shirt from a brand called Castle Denmark. And this is a sun shirt, so it's got UPF protection and it's got ventilation here under the sleeves, right? Like this is all mesh all the way down. So a lot of people will wear this for either tennis, equestrian type stuff, or golf. So they are probably, I call them like a mid-tier brand that does stuff like this, but this is kind of like their bread and butter, right? Like they do these sun shirts. While they're probably pretty easy to miss, like sold comps on these are pretty, you know, solid. For certain patterns, you'll see them going in like the $30 to $40 range and really kind of starting at about $20, $25. So again, if you're seeing something like this at the bins where this weighs like less than nothing, absolutely pick it up because I've had a ton of interest in it and it sold super, super quickly. And you just want to make sure that when you're selling something like this, you're using like equestrian, riding gear, tennis shirt, sun shirt, golf shirt, you know, you're using all of these keywords. So you're getting all of the people who are looking for all of those different, you know, activity-based garments. As I always say, the easy way to think about keywords if you are kind of new to this and feeling daunted by keywords is like, what words would somebody put into a search engine to find this? That's kind of the easy way to do it, to like take yourself out of the selling side of it and put yourself into the buying side. Like if you were a golfer, what words would you put into the search bar to use this? Those are keywords. That's exactly what keywords are. Just kind of a different way to think about it. And it's funny, I had this on a haul recently, but my sound kept going out when I was talking about it, so I deleted the whole thing. And like 3 of you guys came in and were like, what's the purple thing on the pile? I'm like, sorry, this was what it was. But I had this listed for just under 1 week, and I had it listed at $32. And I got an offer for $28, which I did accept. And with the $2 cost at the bins, this brought me to a profit of $21.26. And this is a sale over on eBay. So definitely something I would pick up again. Again, not a huge big dollar sale, but like a quick flip. And I'm here for quick flips. You know, we're not all stumbling on Burberry jackets in the thrift every day, right? Like this is the engine on which a business runs, right? Next up, now this is one that I had for a really long time. This is from Mave, and it's this cute little like blue and white shirt, but it's extra long. So I think this is kind of an older style. And I'll tell you, it didn't photograph well. You know, like I feel like this is just like a dark color combo that didn't look good in any of the pictures. But still, like I'm kind of surprised that this took as long to move as it did. But you know, every once in a while you get a true dud. And this one was a true dud, even from places like Anthropology, right? And I pulled out all the keywords on this, you know, preppy, nautical, etc. And it just didn't move. We share the good and the bad here, right? But this was one that was definitely on the chopping block as well. And I kind of can't make heads or tails on this one because I thought it was really cute. And you know, again, a classic color combo. It's a button-down shirt, but sometimes that happens. But either way, I had this listed for about 1 year and 6 months. And I had it listed at $26. I know I had lowered the price on that over the time that I had it. And I got an offer for $20, which I did accept. I was glad to be moving this on with a $1 cost at the bins. This brought me to a profit of $15 even, and this was a sale over on Poshmark. Again, for me, this is best case scenario. I would rather get it back into a closet, even at a lower price, than donate it back. So happy to be moving that on. And I hope she loves it because I think it's cute. Next up, now this was an interesting one. This was a pair of white flare sweatpants that I found. Anybody who's about my age will maybe be triggered by these because look at how low rise these are. These are extremely low rise. And this is from a brand called Twisted Heart. And to me, this really looked like Juicy Couture, right? Like I wasn't sure if this was a newer company that was doing like retro style, like Y2K style, or if these were true vintage. And I think that this brand did both. I think that they were around in the, you know, kind of Y2K era, but I do think that these were modern kind of like re-releases. So I priced accordingly. And to be clear, like if you were to find a pair of vintage Juicy Couture track pants with that super low waist like this, I mean, you can get crazy dollars for that right now. And even for reissue stuff like this, it's not going to be like a low dollar amount. So if you do find something that looks like this with that trademark ultra low waist with the flare leg, take the time to figure out if it is vintage or not. Even if it's a reissue, it'll still probably sell for a pretty good price just because it's a very in-demand style right now. But if you can find true vintage, it can be well worth the time that it takes you to figure out whether or not it is vintage. And I had these listed for about 2 weeks, just under 2 weeks, and I had so much interest on them. And I had them listed for 40 bucks, and I had a bunch of offers over on Depop that didn't kind of go through, but I did get an offer for $30, which I did accept with a $2 cost at the bins. This brought me to a profit of $22 even, and this was a sale over on Poshmark. So hope she loves it. Learned a new brand. Absolutely keep your eyes out for it. Again, not going to be a huge sale if you have the modern pieces, but that's still a very quick, very solid sale. All right, next up, we've got this absolutely adorable little dress. Now, I initially bought this for my friend's daughter, and it ended up being a little bit too small. I knew it would sell regardless if it didn't fit her, but this is from Ralph Lauren, and Ralph Lauren baby wear is always something I'm going to keep my eyes out for. It's expensive, and while it's not going to be anything that's like a crazy huge sale on the secondhand market, it will be a reliable and very fast seller. I have had so many little baby Ralph Lauren sweaters and stuff like that. I mean, they sell in like 2 to 3 days. Not huge sales. Obviously, I'm not talking about like purple label or anything like that, but just like the regular Ralph Lauren tag and certain like Ralph Lauren polo. Never big sales, but always fast sales. And that's really kind of been my experience with most Ralph Lauren pieces, polo in particular. Ralph Lauren, I'm really only in if it is a vintage tag, because some of those vintage pieces from the 90s are made like unbelievably well. And they sell very, very well. I literally had a vintage tartan skirt sell at Christmas time for like over $100. So just, you know, don't discount Lauren because it is, quote, the lowest end of all of the Ralph Lauren brands. If it's vintage, pay attention to construction, pay attention to what it's made of because it does matter. And just like my skirt that sold for over $100, you can get good dollars for it. But this I just thought was so adorable. A bummer it didn't fit her, but you know, I knew that this was something that if it didn't work, I could easily get it out into the hands of somebody who could use it. But either way, I had it listed for just 4 days. I had it listed for $24. Most Ralph Lauren baby stuff goes between like $12 and $25 at the high end, and got an offer for $15, which I did accept with a $2 cost at the bins. This brought me to a profit of $10.30, and this was a sale over on eBay. So hope she absolutely loves it. Like I said, cute little dress. And if it didn't work for her, I'm glad it's gonna work for somebody else. Next up, this is a little basic. So this is from Everlane. And this is a cute little denim skirt. Now, Everlane is a brand that I like to pick up. I feel like there's a lot of people that aren't picking up Everlane quite as much anymore. Now, it's not going for as much as it used to. These pieces used to go for a pretty good price. But like their whole shtick, like as a company, is very transparent, cutting out the middleman. They were really like on the vanguard of direct-to-consumer D2C companies. So they're not crazy expensive to start with. And in my opinion, in terms of what I get on the secondhand market for the pieces, they are at average to above average in terms of what it sells for on the secondhand market compared to retail price. So it's absolutely something that I'm still a player with. Certain pieces I will even pay up for at a thrift store. Something like this, probably not. But like, you know, they have cashmere sweaters. Stuff like that is a safe bet. People love Everlane. They trust the brand. And I don't think it's something you should be turning away from. But if you are queasy about it, if you've heard a lot of like chatter about it, just do a quick comp check. Like they don't have a ton of SKUs. Like they don't make a ton of garments. It's usually like, you know, this silhouette in multiple different colors, this silhouette in multiple different colors. And for me, I have pretty good luck with it. So I had this listed at $32. I had it listed for just under a month. Got an offer for $25, which I did accept. And with the $2 cost at the bins, this brought me to a profit of $18. And this was a sale over on Poshmark. So like I said, 100% a bread and butter type brand for me that I will continue to pick up, especially if I find it at the bins with specific pieces I'm happy to pay up for. Next up, now this was one that kind of took me by surprise. This is a dress from a brand called Mars the Label, UK-based brand. And I'm gonna guess that this is a brand that maybe had some wear on something like a Love Island, stuff like that. But the thing that I liked most about it was the fact that it is butter yellow. Now, when I started to dig about this dress in particular, I found that the original dress like had a corset piece to it. So there was like this mini dress and then there was like a kind of underbust corset, which I did not find in the bins. But man, did I get interest on this dress. I think that this is a little bit of a bolo brand. I'd never heard of it before. Again, I picked it up because it felt nice. I liked the color and I thought the style was really cute. And the label looked interesting. So I was pleasantly surprised when I saw sold comps. Let me know if you are familiar with it. Let me know if you've ever found anything from Mars the Label. Again, just not a brand that was on my radar until I picked it up out of the bins. But in like total, in complete condition with the corset, this dress was going for like $65 secondhand. And at the level of interest that I got on this dress, you know, missing the corset part, I'm gonna guess that this is something that will sell very, very quickly because I had a ton of interest. A bunch of offers over on Depop too. But I had this listed for just under 1 week and I had it listed for $42 and I got an offer for $30, which I did accept. And with a $2 cost at the bins, this brought me to a profit of $22 even. And this was a sale, another sale over on Poshmark. So hope she absolutely loves it. Again, I love stumbling upon a brand that I'd never heard of before and bam, turns out to be a bolo brand. Like that is like the best part of what we do as resellers, when we find the gems. Now next up, this is something that is very much in that bread and butter territory. This is from J. Crew. I picked this up on kind of a slower day at the bins, and this is exactly the kind of stuff that I will go for. Now it's J. Crew. It's not gonna sell for a ton of money, you know, which is still wild to me because J. Crew is just so well made. I absolutely love their pieces. But for me, this like gingham shirt is so quintessentially J. Crew. It's preppy. This is like something you can wear to a wedding and still look kind of casual, but still have it be like dressed up and sharp. I think it's a color combo that looks good on most people. So this is exactly the kind of stuff that I will pick up on those slower days because I know that it's going to be a slam dunk. And you'll see J. Crew everywhere in the country. And to be clear, like this sold so quickly, you know, and for a decent price, you know, as compared to that Mave shirt, right? That sat around for a year when a lot of people will view like Anthropology brands as like on a higher tier for like resellers than J. Crew does. Look at the comparison. But I had this listed for 28 bucks, and typically on something like this, I'll get between like $20 and $25. Perfect little bread and butter guaranteed quick seller, especially if you find it in like a large or an extra large, one of the more common sizes for guys. But within one day, literally it was less than a day, I got an offer for $24, which I did accept with a $2 cost at the bins. This brought me to a profit of $18.49. And this was a sale over on eBay. So, like I said, this is a perfect example of the kind of thing that you can find in any thrift store, anywhere in the country, and make a great profit on it. Now, would I go paying $7 or $8 for something like that, knowing what it's ultimately gonna sell for? Probably not. But at the bins, I'm gonna pick that up all day long. I'm gonna pick that up double time if it's a slower day where I'm not finding any kind of cool vintage pieces or really interesting brands, so. Next up, this little beauty. So this is a shirt from a brand called Paparazzi, which I've never heard before, but look at that embroidery. This feels like Johnny Was, you know? That being said, this is a case of one where the lack of brand, I think, slowed it down quite a bit. I'd had a few tire kickers over time, but no bites. And honestly, I think that this had everything going for it, but sometimes it does require that brand to move an item. But I thought that this embroidery was absolutely stunning. I mean, like, get a close-up of that. Isn't that beautiful? And there's so much of it. But a bit of a head scratcher for me on this one as well. Though I feel like even Johnny Was is coming down a little bit in the resale prices that we're seeing. So maybe that filters out to all things that are Johnny Was-esque. Either way, I had this listed for about 8 months. Like I said, this took a little while to move, and I had it listed at $34, and we went back and forth on offers and we landed on $25. And with a $2 cost at the bins, this brought me to a profit of $18 even. So this was a sale over on Poshmark, and I hope she absolutely loves it. Next up, we've got this beautiful piece from a brand called Poetry, which is a brand I hope you guys keep your eyes out for. I don't find it all that often. I find it from time to time, but it's usually very easy to spot because they are all about the textiles. There is a cheaper boutique brand called Poetry. The logo is somewhat similar, with the big tip figuring out which one is which of looking at the contents tag. Like, this brand of Poetry is pretty much only going to use like linen and silk and cotton. This sweater in particular is cotton and alpaca. Very minimalist cut. This is one of the less kind of significant pieces that I've ever found from Poetry, but some of their pieces can get up there in resale value. But it is a brand I'm always keeping my eyes out for just because I know how beautifully they're made and I know how lovely their textiles are. This is the label you're looking for. So it's sans serif, it's pretty subtle, and the big thing is it's got that tipped back, right? Like the tag kind of tips back and it's tacked on. It's not top stitched on. And this was another one that sold so fast, though I am not at all surprised. Perfect like transitional sweater going from winter into summer. Now I had this one listed at $42 and I got an offer same day, like within hours of me listing it, for $32, which I did accept with a roughly $2 cost at the bins. This brought me to a profit. Oh, I didn't write my profit down. Somewhere around $25. But either way, this was a sale over on Poshmark, and I hope she absolutely adores it. Such good stuff. Keep your eyes out for that brand, guys. And then last but certainly not least, we have this gorgeous sweater from Lunya. Now, Lunya is a brand I want you to make sure you are aware of. This is the tag. I think this is an older sweater from them. And their newer tag is all white with like black block letters, pretty big, but they're known for their silk sleepwear. And this is their cotton silk sweater. So it's a cotton silk blend. And these sweaters retail like $300, super pricey. But like I said, this is an older version of the sweater, but they still absolutely hold value and can sell for a great price. So it is a brand for sure to be comfortable paying up for. One of my thrift bucket lists, both for resale and for myself, is to find one of their silk pajama sets because they look so dreamy, but the prices I cannot cannot justify. But either way, I had this listed at about $100 and I had it listed for just 2 weeks. And I got an offer for $75, which I did accept with a $3.50 cost at the regular thrift store. This brought me to a profit of $54.45. And this was a sale over on eBay. So I hope she absolutely loves it. Like I said, this would otherwise be like a $300 some odd sweater. And it's gorgeous. But that is it, guys. That is the shipment for today. A pretty like high volume amount of sales, not a ton of huge sales, a couple in the mix there, but yeah, a pretty decent weekend of sales, especially given the fact that it's been like a holiday weekend where there's always sales going on in regular retail. I'm always happy to see kind of a more busy weekend in a weekend when I know that a lot of stores are putting on some pretty big sales. But either way, thank you guys so much for hanging out with me while I literally get my work done. It is always so nice to have somebody to yak with and talk about some of these things. But guys, this took a little bit longer than anticipated, so I'm running a little bit late. I gotta get these things packed up into the bag, out to the car, over to the post office, and I gotta do that ASAP. So if you guys had fun, please consider leaving a like or a comment on this video. Of course, don't forget to hit subscribe. I would love to have you along on this journey. All of that helps me out so much with YouTube. But with all that being said, guys, I hope you have the most beautiful weekend. Happy hunting, and I will see you all in the next one.